These are some of the many civilizations lost to time over human history, and each of their weird quirks that make them all the more special. The Nazca people. Low-key, we're not even going to talk about what they were like. They were just like a small culture of people within Peru that existed from like 2000 BC to like 600 AD, and they like did stuff, I don't know. But we're going to focus about the sick-ass lines they drew in the ground instead. You know whenever you're at a beach and you want to be funny with your friends, and you write like cock and balls on the sand in the hopes that an overhead helicopter or something sees it and cracks a laugh? Well, that's a very good way to describe what the Nazca people did in ancient times. The Nazca lines, otherwise being a group of geoglyphs, are a set of large line drawings etched into the earth's surface, just northwest of the city of Nazca in southern Peru. They extend an area of over 500 square kilometers, of which most of the Nazca lines were constructed millennia ago. Since their discovery in the 1920s, the lines have been interpreted in various ways, with many conspiracy theorists coming out and doing their thing, but their significance is still shrouded in mystery to this day. Some speculate that the drawings of particular animals, plants, and people represent constellations, they say, in the sky, and it was like a message to the stars, like a huge astronomical calendar. So my beach analogy was right. Now, here's what I think. I believe that these lines are the biggest troll that a lost civilization has done to the modern human race. It was probably a bunch of tribespeople within Nazca that was so high off DMT that they walked out, started making a bunch of random animals in the ground in these huge etchings in the dirt, laughing at them and going back home to their annoying wives. Bro, get me on the History Channel. The Indus Valley. The Indus Valley Civilization was one of the earliest known urban cultures of the Indian subcontinent and one of the first civilizations in history. Among the world's big three first major civilizations, Egypt, Mesopotamia, and the Indus Valley was certainly bowling the hardest. The Indus Valley Civilization was based on, you guessed it, the Indus River. The Indus Civilization consisted of two main hoods, the Harappa and the Mohenjo-daro. But alongside these two main cities, there were more than 100 towns and villages, although often of relatively small size. Both the Harappa and the Mohenjo-daro were approximately 1.6 square kilometers in size, or rather 1 freedom unit squared for all you American folk. This outstanding magnitude suggests political centralization, either in two large states, well, shown through these two cities, or a single great empire with two alternative capitals. It is also possible that these two main hoods that were discovered didn't even exist at the same time, rather the Harappa having succeeded the Mohenjo-daro, as the Mohenjo-daro can't stop getting wet and has been devastated by numerous exceptional floods. Did they not realize after the first time? What do you mean numerous? Just don't build so close to the body of water. Yeah, I know, they need it for farming, bro, just walk, use your feet. The society and political systems of the Indus people were definitely robust, as there were apparent craft specialization and localized groups of skilled workers, with many different housing types and sizes, indicating a sort of social hierarchy. Trade was also extensive and apparently well regulated. Wait, how do they know it was apparently well regulated? Did they interview the ground or something? There was a remarkable uniformity in terms of the weights and measures used throughout the Indus Valley, something we can barely pull off in the modern world, alongside a single language being that of the Harappan script, indicating the standardization of literacy. Excavations of Indus cities have heavily supported the fact that the Indus people dabbled in the arts from time to time. They crafted many stone sculptures in which a lot were quite crude, let's just say, but despite this, they were still very skilled craftsmen. Even the smallest pieces were of excellent quality. It's like the ancient equivalent of a guy with a neckbeard who lives in their mum's basement all day, collecting anime figurines and commenting on the articulate details. How and when the civilization came to an end is still up to debate to this day. The decline probably occurred over a long duration of time in several stages between approximately 2000 and 1750 BC. This estimating is due to the lack of their distinctly urban traits and crafts disappearing from archaeological evidence. However, it is still apparent how the Mohenjo-daro fell, as it was extremely dramatic. They were attacked around the middle of the 2nd millennium BC by raiders who simply swept through the city, killed basically everyone, and then passed on. Light work, no reaction. The Scythians. The Scythians were a group of nomadic tribespeople who migrated from Central Asia to southern Russia and Ukraine in the 8th and 7th centuries BC. They formed a powerful empire on what is now modern-day Crimea. The empire survived for several centuries before getting murked by the Sarmatians around the 3rd century BC. Until about the 20th century, what we had known about the Scythians had came from the account of them by some random Greek historian called Herodotus, who visited them one day. The Scythians were feared yet still admired for their prowess in war and in particular for their horsemanship. Probably because they were nomadic, bro, I don't know. They were among some of the earliest people to master the art of riding a horse, and their mobility astonished their neighbors. Look at me go, man! Woohoo! Dad, what is John doing? Oh no, little Timmy, don't look at him. Just pretend he's not there, okay? But he's scary. During the start of their conquest, the Scythians, arriving from Asia, ended up on the front doorstep of the Cimmerians, who had traditionally controlled the Caucasus and the plains north of the Black Sea. In a war that really didn't last that long, 30 years, the Scythians destroyed the Cimmerians and set themselves up a brand spanking new empire spanning from West Persia through to Syria and Judea, all the way to the borders of Egypt. I wouldn't call it destroying if it took them 30 damn years. No guys, they did a lot more than fight, don't get me wrong. They developed a class of wealthy aristocrats who left elaborate graves filled with richly worked articles of gold as well as beads of turquoise, amber and many other valuable objects. The ever-successful Scythian army was basically full of a bunch of NBA free agents who received no wages other than food and clothing, but they could take anything that they found when plundering the villages. They had this freaky honor system in which they would only get a share of the booty if they brought the head of an enemy. Every Scythian had their own personal mount or horse, but the wealthy had large herds of horses, really showing that consumerism has had deep roots in human nature for millennia. One peculiar thing was, as previously mentioned, they had very robust burial customs. One such custom is if a man were to die and he was a provider of a household, then it called for the sacrifice of his wife, servants, and horses. So if you're telling me some 6'4" big ball Scythian man dies of tuberculosis, you get a times 50 combo. Because then his 10 bajillion horses, 12 wives have to go too? Wicked. Anyways, that was all for some of the lost civilizations in history. Feel free to subscribe since you've gotten this far. You have to at this point. Pretty please. Okay, bye.